Hi guys, happy Valentine's Day. Here we go, chapter 10. A sharp knock on the door woke Dicey. She opened her eyes wide. The window was dark. Dicey had slept and awakened in so many unknown places that she never had that first morning feeling of being lost or not knowing where she was. She knew where she was, or rather, where she wasn't. The knock came again. Dicey jumped off the cot and squeezed around the corner of the bed where her brother slept to open the door. Cousin Eunice stood there wearing the same black cotton dress or its twin sister and the same high-heeled shoes. "I'm about to leave," she whispered. "Can you come downstairs for word before I go?" Dicey nodded. She closed the door and searched through the darkness for her shorts and her shirt. A rustling noise in the bed made her turn her head as she was about to leave. James sat up. "It's still true," he said. "Go back to sleep, James," Dicey said. He lay down obediently and his eyes closed. Dicey found Cousin Eunice in the kitchen, drinking a cup of tea. Beside her on the table lay a black purse, black gloves, and a little round black hat with a brim that tilted up. "Good morning," Dicey said. "I'm sorry to wake you so early," Cousin Eunice said. Her face was pale above all the black around her. "But I am going to 6:30 Mass. I always do that," she said. "I get breakfast on my way to work. There's a diner on the way, quite clean. Mother didn't like making breakfast, and I've always gone to early Mass." Dicey nodded. She sat down facing her cousin. "I pray for Mother, and for myself, and for the world," Cousin Eunice said. "This morning I shall pray for you, and for your poor mother." Dicey felt uncomfortable. "Thank you," she said. "Was that what you were supposed to say to somebody who was praying for you?" "I thought of staying home today," Cousin Eunice went on. She talked without looking at Dicey. "But I've never missed a day of work, not for any reason, not in 21 years. Somehow I didn't want to miss today." Dicey nodded. "Father Joseph said he would come by this morning and bring some clothing for you. He will register the younger children at camp so that they can begin right away. So you must be sure to be here when he arrives." "We will." "But there's shopping that needs to be done, and usually on Thursday evenings I clean the living room, dust and vacuum, wash the windows, damp mop the floors. I couldn't get that done last night." "I can do that," Dicey said. "Do be careful not to break anything," Cousin Eunice urged. "I will," Dicey said. "Here is some money. Try not to spend it all." Cousin Eunice handed her $20. "We'll need something for supper, I suppose. Can you cook?" Dicey nodded. "It has to be fish," Cousin Eunice said. "Today is Friday." "I've cooked fish," Dicey said. Well, that was true. She had just never cooked fish on a stove in a pan. What did Friday have to do with fish? "I'll get home at 5:40. Will you be all right?" "We'll be all right," Dicey said. "You don't need to worry about us." "I don't know how you've managed it," Cousin Eunice said. "You must be a very resourceful child." Dicey didn't know what to say. "But you're here now, and I'll take care of you," Cousin Eunice said. "That's awfully nice of you," Dicey answered. It sounded so flat, but she felt flat. Flat, and she admitted it to herself. Disappointed. "How could a Christian do less?" Cousin Eunice asked. Then she got up and put on her hat on her head. She drew her gloves on over her plump hands and picked up her purse. "Until this evening, then. You're sure you'll be all right?" Dicey nodded. "Don't forget Father Joseph." "I won't." "And the living room." "I won't. I'll do it." "And the shopping." Dicey nodded. "Fish, remember? Why don't we have a tuna casserole?" Dicey nodded. She hoped she could find a cookbook in this neat and tidy kitchen, maybe behind a cupboard door. Cousin Eunice left, drawing the door quietly closed behind her, and Dicey breathed a sigh of relief. But the door opened immediately. "Don't leave the house empty," Cousin Eunice said. "There must be someone home at all times. Thieves come, even in broad daylight these days." "All right," Dicey said. "It's not as if I have anything valuable," Cousin Eunice said, "but they steal anything, and murder, and other things. I don't know. The world has gone crazy. I'll have a key made for you, just one. Until then, don't leave the house unlocked." "I won't," Dicey said. "Don't worry about us. We'll be fine." "How can I help worrying?" Cousin Eunice asked. She did not give Dicey the time to answer. Dicey looked at the clock hanging on the kitchen wall. It was shaped like a cat with a long curled tail that switched the seconds. 6:15. Dicey familiarized herself with the kitchen, cupboards, no cookbook, drawers, refrigerator, and freezer. She took a dust cloth and the vacuum and went into the living room. The room was cluttered but not messy. Dicey didn't think it needed cleaning, but if Cousin Eunice wanted it clean, then she would clean it. She dusted the wooden back chairs, the tabletops, the windowsills, the one bookcase which held a Bible and 2 rows of photograph albums. Dicey thought she should ask permission before she looked through the albums. She dusted the pictures on the walls of Jesus and Mary, like the ones she used to see on Aunt Silla's Christmas cards, of Jesus being crucified, and photographs of a round-faced man standing beside a round-fendered car, of a sharp-eyed woman with a fur around her neck, of a little girl with curly hair in a flouncy white dress and a bouquet of flowers held in her white-gloved hands. Daisy dusted the row of china cats on top of the bookcase. She dusted the lamps and the door handles. Then she ran the vacuum over the pale blue rug, careful to clean under tables and chairs. When she finished, it was 7:30. She set out bowls and spoons and glasses of milk. Cousin Eunice had 2 kinds of cold cereal, cornflakes with sugar frosting and a fruit cereal, which said it had 15 flavors in its different colored little balls. Daisy put both boxes in the middle of the table. She wished she could find some flowers to put in a glass in the middle, but there were none in the backyard. Nothing grew there except a straggly, neglected cover of grass. Daisy enjoyed getting ready for this meal. The morning sun brightened the living room beyond. Light made things cheerful. They ate a quick breakfast, and then Daisy washed and dried the bowls and glasses and spoons. Maybeth helped her put them away. Sammy and Maybeth went out to the backyard. Daisy took James upstairs and made him help her make their beds. Cousin Eunice had made her own. She left James in charge when she went to the store. There she purchased bread and milk and fruit, tuna fish and noodles, and after reading the instructions on the back of the bag of noodles, a can of mushroom soup, peanut butter and jelly. She also bought a dozen eggs, a box of pancake mix, a jar of syrup, and a cheap red rubber ball, because if Sammy was going to spend most of the day waiting around, he'd need something to play with. Returning, unpacking the groceries, piling the dollars and change beside the toaster, washing the apples before putting them in the refrigerator, Daisy heard herself humming the song about Peggy-O. It was like playing house. James wandered in and took an apple. There aren't any books in the house. Are we going to stay here? I don't think we can do anything else, Daisy said, so we've got to please Cousin Eunice, and that Father Joseph, too, I guess. We've got to be on best behavior all the time. Can you do that, James? Sure, he said, but it's an awful small house for 4 kids. Bigger than ours was. Yeah, but there we had the dunes and the beach. Daisy went out into the tiny yard and called Sammy and Maybeth to her. To them, she repeated what she had just said to James. They nodded solemnly at her. Then she pulled out her hand from behind her back and tossed the red ball to Sammy. He grabbed for it, missed, ran after it, and caught it in 2 hands. He bounced it high. He turned and grinned at Daisy. Then he ran up to her and nearly knocked her over, hugging her. He called Maybeth to play catch. Daisy watched them playing, proud that she had thought to get the ball, glad in her heart that she had been able to give it to them. They had finished lunch and washed and dried the plates and glasses by the time Father Joseph arrived. He carried 2 large shopping bags, which he passed to Daisy. Clothes, he told her. He gathered up the younger children and walked off down the street with them. James walked beside him. Sammy ran ahead, and Maybeth trotted behind. Daisy was alone in the house. It felt strange to be alone. Being alone inside was very different from being alone outside. Inside there was nothing to do, and she felt full of energy. She wanted to take a walk, but she couldn't leave the house empty, so she sorted through the bags of clothes. The clothes were worn, but clean and pressed. Their own clothes were worn out, but that was somehow different. Other people's old clothes. Daisy quelled the thought. She must remember to be grateful. For Daisy and Maybeth there were dresses. For the boys, shirts and trousers. Daisy didn't like dresses. There was no underwear, no blue jeans, 2 pairs of shoes, heavy leather shoes that tied with laces. She would have to tell Father Joseph what they needed, or maybe Cousin Eunice could give them the money for shoes and underwear. In an hour, Father Joseph returned. The children were not with him, but another man was. He wore a business suit of olive green and had a round face and yellow-brown eyes that protruded. Go Google eyes. He had round, fat fingers, and he jingled the money in his pocket. He peered at Daisy. They all went to sit at the kitchen table. The children are staying at camp for the afternoon, Father Joseph said to Daisy. You and I will go pick them up so that you can learn the way. Is that all right? Daisy nodded. She wondered if she should have changed into one of the dresses. This is Sergeant Gordo. He works with the Missing Persons Bureau of the Police Department, and he is also a personal friend of mine. How do you do? Daisy said. How do? Hot enough for you? Sergeant Gordo asked. He laughed at his own joke. Well, I understand you've got a missing mother. Daisy nodded. He took a pad out of his rear pants pocket and prepared to write with a ballpoint pen. Give me her particulars, he said. Daisy didn't understand. Name, age, weight, description, any distinguishing marks, last seen. Liza Tillerman, 36, Daisy said. I don't know how much she weighs. How is she built? Fat? Thin? She's regular, Daisy said. Sort of thin, I guess, but she has a regular shape. Height? 2 or 3 inches taller than I am. How tall are you? I don't know. Stand up, will you? His eyes measured her. She'd be about 5, 6, or 7. Any scars or moles? She's got a big mole on her chin and one at the back of her neck under her hair. There are more, but those are the big ones. She's got blonde hair, long blonde hair, hazel eyes like mine, a round face with high cheekbones. What was she wearing when she took off? Blue jeans, a sweater, a big red man's sweater with holes in the elbows, sandals, a purse over her shoulder. Rings, watch? Daisy shook her head. Mama didn't have jewelry. Wedding ring? Daisy shook her head. The two men exchanged a glance. When did you last see her? I'm not exactly sure. It was early in June. Where was it? Daisy told him about the mole in Pawtucket. She told him about the car and how they had left it there. He snapped his notebook shut. I'll see what I can do for you, he said. Daisy swallowed. Do you think she's dead? He pursed his lips. I can't say that. Not now. If she is, we'll find out soon enough. Dead bodies stink, so we find them. Daisy nodded. She didn't trust herself to speak. Father Joseph seemed to understand that, and he changed the subject. I put in a call to the church in Maryland. Crisfield, Daisy said. His eyes studied her briefly. Yes, the priest there will see what we can find out. Your people aren't Catholic. No, Daisy said. We aren't anything. At least I don't think we are. His eyebrows went up. Your cousin Eunice is a devout Catholic, he said. She was raised in the church. But of course it was her father who was a Catholic. Her mother converted when they married. She herself is very traditional in her devotion. She still chooses to keep meatless Fridays, for example. But none of this interested Daisy. Her attention remained with the officer. How long will it take you? She asked Sergeant Gordo. I can't say now, can I? Maybe a day, maybe a year. No, I mean if she's dead. That'll take less time. If there's any possibilities, I'll show you some pictures. Oh, within a week. So if you don't tell me anything in a week, then we can be reasonably sure she's alive, Father Joseph. We can be reasonably be sure she's alive. Punctuation. Father Joseph tells me you don't have any idea what made her leave you. She didn't say, Daisy said. She looked at him. She didn't like him, but he could help her. Do you want to know what I think? He took out his pad again. Anything might be useful. I think she ran out of money and didn't know what to do, so she just forgot about us. Her mind just erased us, because she was so worried about us. Does that make sense? The kind of people we deal with, anything makes sense. Was she worried about anything in particular? Everything, always. She lost her job. That was why we were coming to Aunt Scylla's house. Here. What about welfare or unemployment compensation? Daisy shook her head. Mama said she couldn't do that. She wouldn't even go talk to anyone. She said charity was not for the Tillermans. I wish more people felt that way, Sergeant Gordo said. He folded his notebook and put it away again. Well, I've got work to do. Father Joseph stood up too, and we have some children to pick up. But I can't leave the house. Cousin Eunice said not to leave the house empty and unlocked, and I don't have a key. Can you get James first, and then the other two? James can show me the way on Monday morning. Father Joseph looked doubtful. James will remember all right. He's smart. Oh, yes, that's very clear. I guess we can do it that way. Daisy saw them out, and when they had gone, she sat waiting on the hall staircase for her family to return to her. It seemed like a long time waiting there in the dim, silent hallway. At last they were at the door, James, thin and thoughtful, Maybeth, who hurried up to take Daisy's hand, and Sammy, who stood grinning by the doorway. Daisy thanked Father Joseph and said goodbye to him. She took her family out to the kitchen. She gave them fruit, and then they all went out to the backyard. Sammy wanted to play catch with Daisy, but she wanted to talk. What did you do? What was it like? I talked with the teachers, James said. It's a school building, and they have arts and crafts and games in the afternoons. All the teachers are priests, he said, taking a large bite of banana and chewing it. They've got a library just for the school, and labs with Bunsen burners and chemicals and cupboards. I knew almost all the answers to their questions, he reported proudly. I think I'll like it. Daisy was glad to hear that. They talked to me as if I was a high school student, James asked. What about you, Sammy? What did you do? Played. Played what? Blocks, sandbox. We had running races, and I came in second. Some of the boys I beat were in third grade. What about the girls? No girls in my camp. All the girls are in one, all the boys in another. So yours was all girls? Daisy asked Maybeth. She nodded. What did you play? Maybeth didn't answer. Did you stand with the teacher all the time? Daisy guessed. Yes, Maybeth said in a small voice with a small smile. Daisy rumpled her hair. She wanted to know more about what they had been doing. Each of them had an entirely separate afternoon. Did anybody look friendly, she asked. I didn't see any of the guys, James said. They were figuring out what classes to put me in. They asked me what prayers I knew and what about the Gospels and the Saints. I don't know anything about any of those. Catechism, he pronounced the new word. They'll teach me. You sound glad about going to school. Boy, am I, James smiled at her, his hazel eyes smiling too. These fathers, they're all so smart, really smart. I never had a teacher like that, not even one. These guys know so much, and they really want to teach me what they know. You can tell that. Yeah, I guess I am glad. So would you be. I doubt it, Dicey said. Takes different things to make me glad. Like what? Like knowing we've got food. Be serious, Dicey. The ocean, Dicey said, and lots of room outdoors, but mostly the ocean. And the food, too. That was serious. Father Joseph said to tell you we're all enrolled. He said you should take us on Monday. What was it like where Sammy and Maybeth were? James shrugged. Playgrounds mostly, next to schools. Blacktop, lots of jungle gyms and swings. The teachers for the girls, where Maybeth is, are nuns. Did you like the nuns? Dicey asked Maybeth. Maybeth didn't answer. All the other girls were wearing dresses, James reported. We have some dresses, Dicey said to Maybeth. Father Joseph brought them today. Do you want to go try them on and see how they look? Maybeth nodded. Dicey took her upstairs and she tried on the dresses. Cousin Eunice had come home before they got back downstairs. Dicey found Cousin Eunice sitting again in the kitchen, waiting for the kettle to come to a boil. The little woman looked tired. She had taken off her glasses and was resting her forehead on her hands, rubbing her eyes. Dicey sent the children outside to play in the backyard and cautioned James to keep them out there. She sat down facing Cousin Eunice. Are you tired? Can I get you something? At that moment, the tea kettle whistled. I'll make the tea, Dicey said, hopping up. She poured the water and dipped the tea bag in. Thanks, Cousin Eunice said. Yes, I am tired, and I have an instruction class tonight. An instruction class? Religious instruction. I am studying, but my feet hurt so. I don't know if I can go tonight. Well, of course I can, but... What kind of work do you do? Dicey asked. The woman was almost curled over onto the tabletop. Her face was pale and her eyes lacked expression. Dicey couldn't imagine what kind of work would make a person look like that. I'm a junior foreman. We attach the lace insets to lingerie, my girls and I. You know, on slips and nighties there are lace panels, or the cups of brassieres. Dicey didn't know, but she nodded anyway. I've been quite successful in my work. There are only half a dozen junior foremen who are women, and only one senior foreman. But it's tiring, the supervising and the sewing and the quality control. It's a responsibility. You wouldn't believe some of the pieces of lace they expect us to set. We have to mend some of the pieces before we can even baste them in. And I'm on my feet most of the day, what with one thing and another. When Mother was here, she knew how tired I was. Her small, high voice droned on. She'd always have a cup of hot tea waiting for me when I came in the door, and dinner on the table at 6. I do get so hungry. Do you always get home at the same time? Oh, yes, at 20 to 6 precisely. Dicey made a mental note. But I have to begin dinner to eat before my class. Cousin Eunice replaced her glasses and pushed herself up from the table, tottering a little in her high heels. She put a pot of water on to boil. She opened the can of tuna and the can of soup. Dicey tried to help, but she felt clumsy, as if she was interfering, not helping. So she set the table and found the noodles for Cousin Eunice. Did you get the living room done? Yes, I did. Good. And you washed the windows? Oh, no, I forgot that. I'll do it in the morning. Oh, dear. In the morning we'll do the upstairs and take the sheets and towels to the laundromat and do our personal laundry. I think we'll have to let the windows go until next week, although they get so dirty. I'll do them, Dicey assured her. And the floor, did you damp mop? No, I'm sorry I didn't. I didn't know what you meant by that. We'll just have to do the living room as well tomorrow, somehow. I'll do it, don't you worry about it. Cousin Eunice poured the noodles into the boiling water. But Cousin Eunice? Yes, Dicey. You know that Father Joseph brought us some clothes. That's nice. Yes, it was nice. We are grateful. You'll tell him, won't you? Yes, I will. But we need underwear, and there wasn't any. And blue jeans or shorts. Just one more each, so that when we play we won't ruin good clothes. And sneakers. At least the others need sneakers. I can still wear mine for a long time. I guess I don't need to have a second pair of shorts. Oh, dear. Dicey pushed the forks around on the table as if she was still setting it. So we'll have to go shopping tomorrow, too, Cousin Eunice said. Thank you, Dicey said. I don't know how much things for children cost. Neither do I, I'm sorry, Dicey said. Maybe I could get work. I don't think so, Cousin Eunice said. She was stirring the noodles with a long-handled fork. I was talking with my girls, and they said someone your age could only get babysitting jobs. I don't know anybody who has small children. We might advertise in the paper, I suppose. But who would take care of the housework then? The girls said, you know how silly some people are, that I was a saint to take you in, that anybody else would turn you over to social services. But I said, I can't do that. They're my own flesh and blood. Which in a way you are, you know. Yes, Dicey said. Then she added, because she knew it was true, even though she didn't feel that it was true, you're being awfully kind to us. Cousin Eunice nodded and smiled her foolish smile. James is excited about school, Dicey told her. Maybeth and Sammy are enrolled in day camp. That's nice. And you dusted? Yes, everything. Dicey was glad to be able to answer yes to one of the cleaning chores. Were those your photograph albums in the bookcase? Cousin Eunice nodded as she put a colander in the sink. May I look through them? Dicey asked. I guess so, Cousin Eunice said. I didn't keep the albums. They're Mother's work. Some of the pictures are very, very old. You'll be careful, won't you? Yes, Dicey said. Will you be late coming home tonight? After 10. There's no need for you to wait up. Mother never did. I'll expect you'll all be in bed by the time I return. There's a television in my bedroom you can watch, as long as you don't play in there. Children like watching television, don't they? Dicey answered with more enthusiasm than she felt. And tomorrow we'll have to remember to have a key made for you. Cousin Eunice sighed and drained the noodles. That Cousin Eunice, she's a saint. Anyway, I will be back probably tomorrow with chapter 11, and I hope you guys are continuing to enjoy the book. Please feel free to give this video a like if you did, and hit that subscribe button, and also the bell icon if you don't want to miss out on any of my new uploads. They will not obviously just be story time. There'll be all kinds of things. If you've been watching me for a while, you know that anything can pop up on this channel. But anyway, I really appreciate you guys and your support of the channel and of me, and I really hope you're enjoying the book, because I'm definitely enjoying rereading it with you. Have an awesome rest of your day. Again, if you are in a part of the world that celebrates Valentine's Day, I hope you're enjoying yours. This shirt was my gift from my husband. I also got another Animal Crossing shirt early, and this adorable Mothman plushie made by my incredible friend Kelly. She and her husband own a company called Jellicoe, and they make the most incredible stuff. So I'm having a good day. I celebrate love every day, but Valentine's Day is just fun because I usually get treats from the hubby. But anyway, enjoy the rest of your day, guys, and I'll be back soon with more stuff. Bye.